on Wednesday, May 28th. It is the Mason Kussmaul Show during our reverse script summer break. So I'm glad to start the summer season off on this Wednesday that really doesn't feel like summer. I'll get to more of that in the weather moment in it. But welcome in, and this is the Mason Kussmaul Show. Thanks for joining in on 2 p.m. And this is going to be kind of a after Memorial Day special. I was originally planning to do a Memorial Day special on last Sunday, before Memorial Day, but then I realized I'm going to be really busy, and I'm glad I did not schedule anything because I would never be able to do a show that day. I was super busy, had a lot of things to do today, and that's why I'm kind of doing a Memorial Day special today. Obviously, my cover photo, if you saw that, it's Memorial Day. So this is kind of a post-Memorial Day special of the Mason Kussmaul Show. But welcome in, and let's get to our sponsor. Today's sponsor is Fisk Farm and Home in Monona, Cresco, and Decorah, Iowa. Thanks for sponsoring. I'll get to more details towards the end of the show on how you can be a sponsor. And once again, I'm still looking for sponsors. But right now, let's get into a weather forecast. So, we haven't had one of these in a while, and let's see what do we got today. So, right now, it is 58 degrees. Today's high is 61 degrees, so not an incredibly warm day. It does not feel like summer today. But there is precipitation that is going to be lingering around today. It's not going to be really anything heavy, I don't think. It looks like towards later in the day, this evening, around 7, 8, it might start to clear out. But we have 3 p.m. showers, 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., all bringing a very slight chance of showers. I'm not expecting to see anything much. It says no precipitation over the next hour. Right now, it's just cloudy. In the next 6 hours, showers possible. Today's high is 61 degrees, and today's low is 49 degrees. Over the next few days until Sunday, it's going to warm up. Tomorrow, Thursday, sunshine and clouds mixed with a slight chance of a rain shower with a high of 68 degrees and a low of 47 degrees with winds north-northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Friday is going to be a beautiful day, mostly sunny skies, high of 81 degrees. That's more like summer, with winds out of the northwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. So winds picking up a bit there, probably gusting at around a 30, maybe. Saturday, partly cloudy with a slight chance of a rain shower, high around 80 degrees. Winds north-northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. So winds dying down, about the same temperature, about the same weather, probably some clouds around that day. Otherwise, beautiful. Sunday, the nicest day on here. Sunday is sunny with a high of 83 degrees Fahrenheit. And winds light and variable. So Sunday is obviously probably a yard work day. It's going to be hot, probably pretty humid too. So today is probably going to be our coldest day. I'm imagining, just looking out in the extended forecast, this will kind of be one of our last cooler days. That kind of feels like early May, late April. So I imagine we won't be feeling, because we're getting June 1st is the start of meteorological summer. Not astronomical summer, but it's when kind of everybody considers it to be summer. I consider it to be summer, even though summer technically doesn't begin till the end of June. Not exactly sure what date it is. It's like 21st, 22nd. But anyway, besides today, forecast looks great. It's going to warm up by the day. So probably tomorrow is probably going to be a good time to get things done and all that. But anyway, let's move on now to Milwaukee Brewers baseball. I was looking at some standings in the league. But right now, they are currently playing the Boston Red Sox. I believe it's on Bally Sports Wisconsin, all that. I wish I could watch them more often, but they're always on Bally Sports and all that, and we can't watch them. The current score is the Red Sox are winning 3, and the Brewers are at 2. It's the bottom of the 6th inning, it looks like. The Boston Red Sox have a record of 27 wins and 30 losses, and the Milwaukee Brewers have a record of 28 wins and 28 losses. Upcoming games for the Brewers. We have Friday, May 30th, The Brewers are going to host, actually, no, they're going to go play the Philadelphia Phillies in Philadelphia at 5:45 p.m. Saturday, May 31st, the Brewers are going to once again play the Philadelphia Phillies at 3:05 p.m. Sunday, June 1st at 12:35 p.m., the Brewers are going to play the Phillies for a 3-day series. So no games for the Brewers tomorrow. They're going to be traveling to Philadelphia, I imagine, tomorrow after they get done with today's game against the Red Sox. So that is Milwaukee Brewers baseball, today's score, and upcoming events. There is no final score for today's game because they are currently still playing at the time of this recording. All right, now let's go to, normally I do River Ridge School District athletic events, but it's not anymore, right? Because school's out for River Ridge. So it's a hurricane update. And once again, I kind of just do this for the Atlantic hurricane. I don't really do it for the Eastern Pacific or the Central Pacific. I'm not too focused on those because most of those don't really make landfall or have any effects on the United States. They can, but not usually. So, Atlantic hurricane season starts on June 1st. So, doesn't mean we can't see anything before then. But, according to the National Hurricane Center, tropical cyclone activity is not expected in the next 7 days in the Atlantic Ocean or the Caribbean Sea, the Gulf, anywhere in that area. There is no tropical activity expected. So, if that's normal because we're early in the season still. Once we get to like August, September, October, November, that's when kind of it picks up a little bit because this is early. But what fuels this, and I was watching Fox Weather this morning, they were really talking about this, is the warm water. And that's why so many hurricanes form in the Gulf, because the Gulf water is extremely warm. I know there's parts in the Caribbean Sea, I was looking at water temperatures map, and they're like 89 degrees. And I'm like, I love to swim in that, but just because it's warm water doesn't mean it's all sunshine and rainbows. So, but anyway, a hurricane update. There is no development expected soon in the next 7 days. That's pretty normal. We're not even in hurricane season officially yet. Once again, Atlantic hurricane season begins on June 1st. And like I said, I had a Mason's Moment segment on this. Now is the time to prepare when there's nothing going on to the point where there is actually a hurricane comes in and it roars through and all that. And you're like, oh, I wish I would have prepared sooner. But now is the time to prepare. Officials are warning, especially if you live in states that border the Gulf of America or the Atlantic Ocean. Now is the time to prepare, especially Floridians. I know you guys, Florida gets hit pretty hard with hurricanes usually. I don't know. I think Florida usually gets a tropical storm or a hurricane, some form of that, usually every year. Last year, there were kind of two major hurricanes that went through Florida, Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton. Last year, there was also Hurricane Beryl, which made landfall in the United States eventually. But in southeast Texas, Beryl was once a Category 5 hurricane around like Jamaica area, just probably a little south of that, and eventually, I believe, made landfall in the United States as a Category 1 storm or a tropical storm. So, but yeah, Hurricane Beryl, I think it went from June 28th to July 9th. It was a long-lasting storm, and it was tracked for weeks. It went all around the Caribbean Sea and eventually through the Gulf and up to the United States. So Beryl, hurricane, you won't see the name Beryl again for the Atlantic because it got retired. Obviously, it was a very significant storm at one point, so Beryl got retired as well. And there usually is one or two storms that get retired. I know Beryl for sure got retired. I'm not sure about Helene and Milton if they got retired. I don't know if they did for sure or not. But anyway, that is it for your hurricane update. We will be back with one on Sunday. I get this information from the National Hurricane Center or NOAA and the National Weather Service. And once again, no development is expected in the next 7 days. All right, Mason's Moment, my favorite part of the show, and that's because I like it because I try to do a smaller topic because I know I'll eventually lead off in talking about another topic. But I'm just going to recap my Memorial Day weekend because I kind of had I was a little busy too on Monday and Tuesday and all that. I wasn't really home yesterday. I had a baseball game yesterday. So I kind of just thought of this really quick to write up my show and all that. But once again, happy late Memorial Day. Memorial Day is, for some people, it's a celebrating holiday, but we got to remember the real reason we are celebrating Memorial Day is because of those who sacrificed their lives for our country, and we remember them and honor them, not just on Memorial Day, but every single day, especially here in the United States, because they gave us the freedoms we so long desire for, that many around the world would fight for and all that, and we express our gratitude, especially here at the Mason Kussmaul Show. I express my full gratitude to Gold Star families and all of them, because I know they are struggling deeply, and it's amazing that there's organizations out there that are doing their best for veterans and all that, and Department of Veteran Affairs, Department of Defense, and all that. So, Memorial Day, like I said, maybe about barbecues, and I know around here a lot of people like to go out in the river, go fishing, but once again, just remember the real reason we're celebrating Memorial Day is because of those people who sacrificed their lives for our lives so that we can enjoy these freedoms that we so value today. And it's important to remember that we always have them in our hearts, their families in our hearts, and we just got to keep an open mind on to what if we were in that situation, all that. And Memorial Day, a lot of people get confused with Veterans Day. Memorial Day is remembering those who sacrificed their lives for our country. Veterans Day is kind of remembering. Memorial Day and Veterans Day, they're very similar, but Veterans Day is more remembering those who are still living and sacrificed, and they served in the military. Memorial Day is those who sacrificed their lives. We're remembering them. We're keeping their families in our hearts and all that. So Memorial Day is, it's just a very important holiday, and it's very important that Americans truly understand the meaning of Memorial Day, because so many are, it's just heartbreaking for some of those families to have to go through something like that. But anyway, what did I do this Memorial Day weekend? I had a very busy weekend, and there was from fireworks to water parks to boating to graduation parties to, all that. I would say Sunday was probably my busiest day, and it's probably a good thing I did not schedule a show, because I would never have been able to make it to it, and it was just really busy. Sunday, I was at I had some cousins that came back, and they stayed at the Country Inn and Suites in Prairie, which is Barefoot Bay, is right there. So we went there with them, and we went out in the boat. Well, not our pontoon boat, but my grandpa has a fishing boat. It's pretty nice. It's Crestliner. No, not Crestliner, a Lumacraft with a Yamaha motor. So took that out. I have boater safety. I talked about that. I took the boater safety course. I have previously talked about that in a show. So we went out in the river today. It was a relatively nice weekend. It wasn't incredibly warm. It was probably about mid to high 60s, but it was still nice. I mean, it was. We didn't get in the water because the water temperature is around 60 degrees, but it's definitely not Gulf water in the Caribbean Sea, and where it's 89 degrees or whatever, 90 degrees. I wish it was like that, but unfortunately the Mississippi River doesn't warm up that much. So and we went out. The water level, it's still fairly high. It's probably about 10-ish feet. So a lot of beaches probably wouldn't be out and all that. A beach we usually go to is probably still underwater, which is okay because it's still early. It's still last week of May, first week of our summer break. We have multiple days left until June. What was I gonna say? I don't even know. I have multiple months left. Yeah, we haven't even started our 3-month cycle yet, so we still have plenty of time left and all that. So I had graduation parties on Sunday. We actually took our boat to the graduation party and back because we stayed at our cabin. And then on Saturday and Sunday night, we got fireworks and did fireworks. long story short, that ended up in a tree catching on fire, which eventually had to get cut down. So, not going to get into details about that because it's very complicated, which, yeah, eventually got cut down. We had to spray it with a hose, buckets of water, and all that. Then the next day I had to get cut down. So, not going to get into details about that because it's a very complicated story to understand. So, anyway. So, otherwise, yeah, it was a great Memorial Day weekend, and it's also very important to remember that the only reason we're celebrating this holiday, the only reason we're enjoying, like, this holiday, for most people, like, most people don't have to work, they don't have to go to school, and they're like, oh, yeah, break off, this is going to be a sweet day. Well, we got to remember that we're only getting this extra day off from whatever you're doing because of those who sacrificed their lives for our country. And it's extremely important to remember that because you mean like, oh, I'm going out for a barbecue and I'm going out on the river and all that and I'm having the best day of my life. Well, just got to remember, you're only having the best day of your life because of those who sacrificed their lives. And it's extremely important. And I've been rambling about this because it's extremely important. And Memorial Day weekend and 4th of July weekend are probably the most busiest weekends, especially in our area, because there's a lot of boaters. We're not by the Mississippi and Wisconsin River. A lot of people are camping, so it's extremely busy on these weekends. I feel like 4th of July weekend is just a little bit busier because 4th of July weekend, well, actually, 4th of July weekend can be very long depending on which day 4th of July is on. I think it's on a Wednesday or Thursday this year. I remember I looked. I think it's on a Wednesday. Let's look at it again. No, it's on a Friday. Okay, it's on a Friday this year. So 4th of July weekend is probably going to be up about 3 days for most people. So not incredibly long. I know some days, depending on what day it could be on, if it's on like a Thursday, that's probably like a 4-day weekend for some people. Wednesday, that's probably about a 5-day weekend for some people, depending on how much time you take off from work. So it all depends on which day 4th of July falls on. Unfortunately, for some of you, it only falls on Friday this year. So probably won't mean a extremely long 4th of July weekend, but it is what it is. Father's Day weekend, I guess I could throw that out there. That's a pretty important weekend too. What else is there? Flag Day. I mean, that's not... Flag Day is a holiday, but I don't think a lot of Americans even know about it. What else is there? Yeah, there's really not that many holidays in the summer if you think about it. So yeah, Memorial Day weekend, 4th of July weekend, get an extra day off usually, depending on which day it falls. Well, Memorial Day is always on a Monday. Independence Day is different, so it always falls on a different day, and we can control that. But it is going to be the 249th anniversary for the United States of America this year. Next year, it's going to be the big 250. So I'm excited to see how that plays out next year and how we celebrate it next year. I'm excited for that. I wasn't alive for the 200th anniversary, but I'll be alive for the 250th. Probably not I probably will be for the 300th too, but depending on how it goes. Anyway, so not too much to talk about today. I think probably going to wrap this up. Probably going to be a shorter show today because I kind of scrambled to write it up this morning and all that. So, important Memorial Day, pretty important holiday for the United States. Just remember all who sacrificed and a happy late Memorial Day to everybody. And next holiday coming up is Father's Day, I think. Yeah. I don't think there's anything else coming up. So, yeah. Anyway, let's conclude today's show. Probably it's 2:19, not very long right now. And today's sponsor, again, is Fisk Farm and Home in Monona, Cresco, and Decorah, Iowa. Thanks for sponsoring. And if you want to be a sponsor, I ask for 2 things. 1, your business name. 2, your business location, what city, town, village it's in. And if you want, you can include a little description about your business because that will be said on here, probably about a few sentences long. My next video, I'm planning on Sunday, June 1st at 7:30. It's going to be a little bit of a later show because I have a baseball tournament in Eastman on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Sunday, I have 2 games. I think one's in the morning and the other one's at like 4:30. And then we usually stay at the ballpark afterwards. So Hopefully, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a later show. I know that it definitely will be later. It won't be earlier, so it will be a later show if I do one. I'm expecting to do one, though. I expect we'll get home at a fairly decent time. But anyway, it is 2:20. It was about a 20-minute show today, not very long. Once again, stay with the Mason Kussmaul Show for any hurricane updates. If you have a property down there, homes, family members, friends down there, this is the perfect show to get information about the Atlantic hurricane season. I am covering it. I'm using resources such as the National Hurricane Center, NOAA app, Fox Weather. Weather forecast is brought to you every day by Fox Weather. So see you all on Sunday on June 1st at 7:30 p.m. It's going to be a beautiful weekend. Get outside. Hopefully all doing something. Probably not today. Today's not a beautiful day, but this weekend's going to be nice. If you are just joining in, once this video uploads, you can go check out the weather forecast. And again, the weather forecast is going to change. The temperature, some form of it's going to change, which that just happens. Weather apps aren't the most reliable thing on the planet. Well, anyway, thanks for watching. It is 2:21 p.m. this Wednesday afternoon on May 28th. This is the Mason Kussmaul Show. Thanks for watching. See everybody on Sunday.